Hi, this is Miss Christine from the Conkle Library. Hope you're having a fun summer. And this year's theme is Tales and Tales. This week I chose to talk about some of our heroes. Some of them are pets that have saved lives, like this dog. And in this book, The Eternal Soldier, we'll read about the true story of how a dog became a Civil War hero. This is The Eternal Soldier, words by Alison Krotzner-Kimmel, and illustrated by Rowan Tuplow. Sally's life as a soldier began in a basket. A man from town brought Sally to us in the 11th Pennsylvania Volunteer Infantry as a gift. Captain Terry shook his head, pushing the basket away. "But every unit needs a mascot," the man said. The little bull terrier pup shivered as I peered into the basket at her. "You're not a spy sent from Johnny Reb, are you?" I asked her. The pup barked and nearly tumbled out of the basket. We laughed, and immediately we knew she was one of us already. Brindle fur with streaks of brown and black swirled all over her like a patchwork quilt. She was as pretty as an apple tree in full bloom. We called her Sally. We took to Sally right away. She reminded us of our families and our lives before the war. Like a good friend, she never wanted more from us than we could give, so we shared our rations. Fresh milk, soft bits of bread, bits of meat, and she only took what she needed. It wasn't long before she knew every beat on the drums, every note on the bugle. She recognized the notes of reveille as the morning roll call. Sally made it to the line faster than any other soldier. In battle, Sally stood firm beside me and the color guard beneath the shadow of our flag, the most dangerous place. The Confederates fighting us aimed their weapons at anyone holding our colors, and that was usually me. But I was not afraid, and neither was Sally. She stood right next to me there on the firing line, barking at the rebels. After each battle, we marched onward to the next one. Our feet were heavy and tired, but Sally always kept our spirits light. One trek took us not to combat, but to an important meeting with fellow Union troops. There on stage, President Lincoln himself stood ready to review his army. Sally led the 11th past the president. I'll never forget how the man, face creased with worry, raised his tall hat to salute our Sally. 2 months after the president acknowledged Sally, we joined other Union troops fighting on Oak Ridge outside Gettysburg. We fought for 2 hours. Sticky, hot weather covered us all, Union and Confederate alike. Smoke from the continued firing of guns hung heavy in the air, leaving behind a weary gray fog. We fought until we ran out of bullets. Then I was struck in the arm, and there on Oak Ridge I fell. One of our men grabbed the colors as our squad retreated. He ran to accompany the rest of the men as the colonel had ordered us to fall back to Gettysburg. The battlefield around me grew empty. The loneliness among the silence made everything suddenly still. I could not fall back. I noticed some of our men lying near me. We were wounded. We were fading. The rest of the 11th had to leave, but we stayed, not knowing what would become of us. When the smoke began to clear, I saw Sally standing right beside me as if we were back on the firing line. "Go to safety, Sally," I urged her. But Sally sat down on the ground in front of me. She licked the wound on my arm to stop the bleeding. We could hear the explosion of cannons, the yell of the rebels growing closer, but still Sally wouldn't leave her post beside us. Somehow I knew she wouldn't leave, and she didn't. The battle thundered for 2 more days. All that time, Sally never left our side. She paced back and forth between us. She licked the wounds of the living so that they might heal, and guarded the bodies of the dead so that no rebel could touch them. Men cried out for their mothers, for their wives, for people who weren't listening, but Sally listened, and so she went to them. She lay beside them. She waited and kept watch over them. 4 days after her duty as a watchdog over our battlefield had begun, Captain Cook, an officer from a Massachusetts unit, found Sally. He tried to pet her, but she would not let him. She had not eaten or had water for quite some time, but Cook knew what Sally wanted. His men carried all of us, Sally's soldiers, off the Oak Ridge dirt. Only then did she let Cook take her to rejoin the 11th. Soon I was healthy enough to carry our colors again, and Sally returned to duty too. On her first day back, a soldier from another unit tried to retreat from our line. Sally responded by tearing the seat out of his pants. She knew good soldiers never abandoned their men. Almost 2 years after Gettysburg, with the war nearing its end, we marched to Hatcher's Run, Virginia, to engage the enemy. The night before that battle, Sally could not rest. She cried out all night. She had never done that before. During our first charge into the fight the next day, Sally fell in the shadow of the colors. She did not cry out. Death had spared her. But our pain remained. The dust from battle stung our tears as we buried her there on the battlefield. More than 25 years would pass before the 11th Pennsylvania Volunteer Infantry met again at Gettysburg. We dedicated a monument on Oak Ridge to all of our soldiers. We did not forget Sally. At the base of our monument sits a bronze statue of the 11th bravest soldier. She just happened to be a dog. Visitors share their rations with her, leaving biscuits by Sally's statue to this day. They leave pennies with the heads facing up so President Lincoln can still salute her. There, her head rests against her paws. Her eyes are open in the direction where the rebels once came from, and ever a loyal soldier, she keeps an eternal watch over the field for her men. I hope you enjoyed this inspiring story about how a dog can care for others and be a hero.